So I just got done watching the Superman trailer, maybe for the fifth time today since it came out, trying to figure out why some people are hyped up about this and trying to figure out why I'm not. And there's a massive amount of ground between those two positions, and I just don't see it there. And I also saw some things that I'm going to find troubling if they're actually in the film. So I figured, let's talk about it. Here we go. Look, I know a lot of people are very excited for this film. After all, the first official film in the James Gunn verse, the DC Studios version of let's see if we can actually try to make some money out of this superhero thing, since Zack Snyder kind of killed it for us. That's the era we're in, by the way. Just a quick reminder. And yeah, Snyder Bros, go ahead, flame on, whatever you've got to do. But unlike the Final Four, this isn't overtly a female-centered situation. It does feel a little feminine, though, and that's another problem. In watching this and watching how weak Superman is portrayed at multiple points in this final trailer, I would say that vulnerability has never been Superman's issue. Occasionally, he is made vulnerable by kryptonite. We've seen some clips here that perhaps just show that he's constantly vulnerable. We see physical overpowered situations all the time. We see some not super encouraging, fights against robots in his Fortress of Solitude. This trailer is not selling this film. We're now seeing the same clips over and over, and we're seeing some expanded clips of the big kaiju that apparently is there, along with a robot kaiju. I don't know. I feel like Lex Luthor may be a little over the top in this particular trailer, but I have to say, Nicholas Hoult is probably just acting his face off because he's got to convince Hollywood that he's a leading man kind of an actor. And if he has to do that in a less than stellar film with probably a miscast Superman, so be it. And mind you, these are all my opinions. They've been all over the place. I've thought about this film for a long time, hoping it would be good, but not encouraged by this latest trailer. In fact, if anything, if Lois Lane somehow is an amazing fighter pilot now, I don't know, she's flying some kind of super spaceship, is that something I'm supposed to be enthusiastically excited about? That she's in charge there? I always felt like Lois Lane was in charge of situations that, well, she seemed like she'd have some competency for. But is this the situation that it would be in? Is she going to get into the fight? I don't remember Lois Lane ever doing that in any of the books or previous films. And I think anytime you try to do that, you are taking away from the story, which should be solidly focused on Superman. And I think that's been the biggest problem for superhero movies lately, not focusing in on the said superheroes.
Good luck with that.
And trying to portray a different kind of a message each and every time. There have been conversations about this for years at this point, but we're finally starting to drill down to the fact that this destruction has been long seeded. In fact, there was a conversation about that on Nerdrotics, the Nooner, actually, on Wednesday, the 11th, just for reference for those of you out there. We're recording this in June. And as I get through this trailer again, I watched it 5 times, I don't feel hyped up. I'm not enthusiastic. I'm not feeling positive vibes. I mean, however you want to put it, you're supposed to bring your audience into a position of not just wonderment or, try to create some air of mystery. You have to encourage them and excite them to see this. This is a film that has to be a home run. A grand slam, preferably. Something that gets the audience out of their seats and onto their feet at the end of it. Clapping like mad, like the sycophants that show up at a Cannes Festival film, where they have an obligation to give a standing ovation for 5 to 7 minutes just to be polite. This has to be, at the end of the day, the most well-received superhero film since probably Endgame. That's a big responsibility, and with this trailer, I'm not sure it's going to land. There are some positives going for this film. I would say that the short run length is going to encourage a quick turnover in the theaters. This will allow them to show more showings than you would be able to on a 3-hour film, which a lot of films are now stretching towards. And of course, if you're Mission Impossible, you really stretch the bounds with that. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that Zack Snyder had the ability to stretch out things forever. He just used a lot of slow motion. And speaking of slow motion, there's a lot of camera and effect tricks that are pretty evident in what's being done here. There's also a lot of leans to a direction that I don't think will be very popular, but I believe that's subterfuge and we'll get a different element or a different perspective on those particular moments in the film itself. So James Gunn is known for making things that a lot of people like. I just don't know if they're going to like this. Is Superman the Boy Scout, the do-gooder, the guy that we've all been hoping for? Or is he somehow weakened for ridiculous reasoning to bring him down to earth in a way that is unsatisfying, not making him Earth's mightiest being, and incapable of saying the glorious words, truth, justice, and the American way? After all, Superman is America personified. At least he was until the current hacks got a hold of him. And that's the other problem. The source material has all been compromised by people like King and others to make characters much more shadows of themselves than anything else. And Superman has been made into a shadow of himself for a long, long time. But he's not alone. Take a look at what's happening across the superhero plane on the Marvel side, where we're fully expecting a complete flop in the Fantastic Four final steps, because mark it right on your calendar now, this is the beginning of the end in the most extreme way for the MCU, especially if what we're hearing about Doomsday is actually true, and that's female-centered as well. Seems like it's going to be. I think audience reception, not only on trailers, but of films themselves, are incredibly important. They point out positions for marking trends, and their performance gives us numbers to base the speculation on. And if you take a look at the next upcoming thing for Marvel, which is Ironheart, it's set to fail in just a few days, with 3 episodes trying to pretend that people actually care about this thing in Nielsen, when that might be the only time that it ever charts. In fact, I would guarantee it. I won't guarantee it charting, though. Can Corenswet actually pull this off? Maybe. Can James Gunn get everybody's lowered expectations out of their minds and get excited for a DC universe, a DC Studios production going forward? Or are more people going to become positioned where I am in the wait and see, I hope it's good, this can't fail perspective? I'm interested in where you fall, so let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you rah James Gunn? This is going to be a winner. That trailer got me hype. Or are you more contemplative, looking at this going, maybe this isn't the Superman we were looking for? Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! I'll let you know what I think of Superman.